Nancy Drew's name isn't on the title screen. It's like they were trying to fool Indiana Jones fans. Who is the man on the cover?
Current assignment. What assignment?
If you don't have an assignment, why did you make a case file for it? Nancy goes on vacation and accidentally uncovers a mystery cliché.
So, the first thing I'll do is leave Bess at our hotel in the French Quarter and...
The first thing Nancy does is abandon her friend.
He's a nice guy, but kind of a loner who might appreciate a little company.
Why doesn't Bess come along to meet Henry? We're visiting him because he's a lonely guy. Doesn't it make more sense for two people to come visit him? If Ned wants to check up on Henry, why can't he just call Henry himself? The space should come before the ellipsis, not after. They want you to play the game at night with the lights off? You'll ruin your eyes! The right door opens even if you knock on the left door. There are muddy footprints inside the house, but not outside the house. Despite his elaborate costume and wet shoes, Dr. Buford crosses the entire room in 2.5 seconds without making any noise at all. Why did Dr. Buford bring knockout powder with him? Dr. Buford's hand doesn't actually go inside his pocket. The amount of liquid in the cup is the same, whether you choose to drink or not.
This skeleton that attacked you, perhaps we should call the police.
No emergency room, no police.
Henry is a jerk. The S in Henry's voice is lowercase when all the other letters are uppercase.
I should call them and keep them on hold for 5 hours and see how they like it.
Henry claims to be extremely busy, but he also claims he's just sitting on hold for 5 hours. Which is it, Henry?
Bruno was into exotic pets. Didn't believe in cages.
Then why is there a cage right behind you? Nancy has no problem stealing a dead man's eyeballs. Nancy doesn't learn about the eyeball puzzle until halfway through the game, so for the first half of the game, she's just stealing them for no particular reason. It is a huge waste of candles for Henry and Renee to light up all these rooms that they never enter. There are clearly holes in the roof here, but it's not raining on Renee.
I'm fairly certain that he's been selling off Dr. Bolay's belongings on the sly.
This is Dr. Bolay's room. How was Henry able to take a box of things out of here without Renee immediately noticing?
I know, I'll help you. That way you'll get done faster.
Nancy does everyone else's chores cliché. Nancy can't give Renee the chocolate bar from the dresser here. It has to be a chocolate bar from the nightstand. Nancy takes just one piece of paper, but it morphs into 4 when she does tracings. You guys, I'm starting to worry that Renee has a serious chocolate problem. You guys, I'm starting to worry that Nancy has a serious chocolate problem. The game doesn't explain how this doll appeared out of thin air. This puzzle. Spectriloquy is not a word. Nancy can't talk to Henry about this. Nancy can only look at the coffins in this part of the mausoleum, even though Henry and Bruno's parents are buried in the other part. Henry's mother is Dr. Predivicu from Danger on Deception Island. Either she has an identical twin, or Nancy was talking to a dead person in that game. This puzzle. There are lasers in the coffee table, and nobody questions this. The bright lasers in the coffee table aren't visible.
That's the front door, but I'm not leaving until I figure out what Mr. Skeleton Man was up to.
This is a lie. Nancy still stays here after she figures out what Dr. Buford was doing. This puzzle. Nancy knows that she needs multiple loquates, but she refuses to take more than one of them at a time. Nancy explores a dark cemetery in the rain, without a flashlight or a raincoat. Renee could hear the creepy doll in the hidden room, but she couldn't hear Dr. Bolay in the hidden room. The secret room and staircase takes up most of the 3rd floor. Just based on the house's layout alone, someone should be able to realize the staircase is here. Seriously, the Bolays picked out the weirdest things to get their portraits painted with. Who has their portrait painted with an axe or a toothbrush?
If I could just figure out what it's a tracing of.
Nancy says this even if you've already solved the tracing puzzle.
No way.
I'm not good at that sneaking around stuff, Nancy.
In other games, Bess is more than willing to help Nancy. Here, she outright refuses to help Nancy. Some friend.
Nothing of my armpits.
Bess's armpits. Shorty's model was reused for this game. Bess leaves the same leftovers on her spoon no matter which dish she orders. Lamont is leaning over here, and now he's standing upright.
The house of his is filled with junk. He kept everything.
No, there's barely anything at all in his house. Bess is giggling. Lamont doesn't notice Bess setting up this puzzle, even when she does it multiple times in a row. The guy heard her replay the same song over and over and over, and he never bothered to check it out? If you make a mistake on the top row, you have to sit through this 15-second animation to see if you got the right solution. Does Bess reset the record player every time she tries this puzzle, or is this just a super repetitive record? Is there an infinite number of happy face balloons here?
I can't quite reach that bottle up there. Could you get it for me?
Lamont stands in place for 30 seconds instead of simply grabbing the bottle and ignoring everything else. Lamont doesn't recognize this bottle as his sneeze powder, which you'd think he would because he's really sensitive to sneezing. Why can't Lamont go into the back room himself? It's not that far. Lamont is not at all suspicious when Bess takes a ridiculously long time to get nose spray.
$300. That's all I've gotten out of his estate, I swear.
Lamont paid $300 for this box? What a ripoff!
I haven't had a chance to really go through it yet.
If Lamont hasn't gone through this box yet, who put this sticky note here? This puzzle.
Well, I did throw in some smaller boxes. Like I said, I was just grabbing stuff.
There is only one box in here.
You better go take care of Lamont.
Would you believe it? The guy is still sneezing.
Bess stops to call Nancy before she gives Lamont the nose spray. Bess is a jerk. This puzzle reused from Game 9. Professor Hotchkiss's book only has her last name on the cover. Most books list the author's full name. There are 13 crystal skulls, but by coincidence, Hotchkiss starts her book with the one that's relevant to the game's plot.
You gotta be kidding me, Summer. I don't have that kind of money.
Summer is dating Henry. I guess the gold digger is dating the grave digger. This spy cam is pretty much useless unless someone is standing right here.
Interesting keychain.
That's one of Uncle Bruno's glass eyes. It's the one he was wearing when he died.
How nice.
Nancy is creeped out that Henry has one of Dr. Bolet's eyeballs, even though Nancy has dozens of Dr. Bolet's eyeballs. There are no keys on Henry's keychain. The key here is not to get bitten. Nancy finds a hidden passageway cliché. Nancy follows a scavenger hunt to fabulous treasure cliché. Dr. Bolet set up this complicated scavenger hunt for after his death, even though he never expected to die. If Dr. Bolet never expected to die, why did he make a will? If Dr. Bolet really wanted to make sure Henry got the crystal skull, why didn't he bequeath it to him? That would have been so much easier than setting up puzzles. The glass eyes are the exact same size as the gumballs. Nancy could easily stuff 25 gumballs in here and skip half the game. If you're missing an eyeball, there's no way to tell which one you need. You have to go back and check every single one until you find the one you missed.
I can't just ignore what you did, Henry.
I know. You still want the glass eye? Take it.
Henry offers the glass eye to Nancy, so the game can pretend she isn't blackmailing him.
May 31st? That's today.
By coincidence, the Jolly Rogers are having a meeting at the exact same time and place as Bess. This puzzle. Why does Nancy need to skee-ball to solve this puzzle? Why can't she just drop the balls into the right spots from above and skip the puzzle entirely? This creepy dummy. The time will tell puzzle is okay, but it's not good enough that you should have to do it 3 times in a row. This puzzle. Dr. Bolet's card catalog doesn't contain the book by Professor Hotchkiss. Nancy solves several puzzles in the same room as Henry, yet he doesn't notice. This puzzle.
How come your great-uncle's crypt is in the garden and...
I stuck his ashes in there anyway and had the thing inscribed.
How did Henry open up the crypt without solving a dozen puzzles first? How did Henry throw the ashes inside and not notice the crystal skull? Renee isn't using the shovel for anything, and she could easily part with it, but she still forces Nancy to do chores before giving it to her. Renee is a jerk. There appears to be a hole in the bottom of Bernie's jaw. He should get that checked out. This puzzle. 15 steps is too many to keep track of. They should have gone with 5. How does the hand know what direction the shovel is facing? Does it have a GPS inside? Instead of opening the box like a normal person, Nancy breaks it open with a shovel. This puzzle. Again, this puzzle has too many steps. 5 would have been enough. Bruno didn't bother to break up the individual lines of his poem here, even though he does that with the poems in his book. So, are these all fake? Or are these real people who died and Dr. Bollet desecrated their graves for the sake of having a scavenger hunt? Tammy is the last person buried under Dr. Bollet's watch. She died in 1975, meaning he set up this puzzle for Henry before Henry was born. For the sake of this puzzle, Henry's parents don't count as buried under Dr. Bollet's watch. It is tedious to go back and forth between the cemetery and the house after every single step of the puzzle. Who puts died in debt on a tombstone?
Hopefully this will givens me a clue.
Givens me a break, Nancy. Take a look at Neil Down and Owen Moore. They switch places for no reason.
Let's hope Neil is lying down by now.
Nancy makes a joke about corpses. That seems out of character for her.
Against the rules to give you his phone number, but I can tell you that now that he's all but retired, Dr. Buford spends most of his evenings at his favorite gumbo stand down in the French Quarter.
Dr. Buford is basically retired, but he still has an after-hours answering service. It's against the rules to give out his phone number, but it's not against the rules to give out his location. Who wrote these rules?
I'm truly sorry about your loss.
My loss?
Nancy is really bad at lying here.
Met a little while back in Wisconsin.
That was 6 years ago. That's hardly a little while.
I'm a scholar of French history, you know.
Why is a French historian writing books on crystal skulls?
How long ago was that? Do you remember?
2, perhaps 3 years ago.
Professor Hotchkiss remembers a random phone call from 3 years ago.
You mentioned that he had a high-maintenance girlfriend.
Trying to keep up with all her crazy demands is making him nuts. You're so lucky.
It's cute how Nancy thinks she's an easy-to-handle girlfriend when she constantly breaks her plans with Ned in order to solve mysteries.
Particularly with pretty young women such as yourself. Pleasing view, particularly now, I might add.
Dr. Buford flirts with Bess even though she's at least 50 years younger than him.
Watch the hot sauce. Whatever's in it gives my stomach instant fits.
Lamont talks to strangers about his digestive problems. How did Lamont not notice the hot sauce on the gumbo? Did he eat the entire bowl without looking at it first? Bess doesn't even want to help Nancy investigate, but she's still willing to torture Lamont for the sake of the investigation. The puzzle clearly states we need a picture of his dog at 10, but the date on the photo says it was taken when Bruno was 9. The graveyard book starts on page 76. What happened to the other 75 pages? Did Dr. Bollet honestly expect Henry to know this information?
Absolutely, unequivocally, irrefutably, incontrovertibly, no. Which of course actually means yes, because...
Game pretends you have a choice here when you don't. It's unnecessary to have an outfit icon in the upper left corner when you only change clothes once in this game. Why doesn't the security alarm sound when Bess opens the door here? The guard will let you guess the password as many times as you want. He's not a good security guard.
Seen fit to...
Shoot, I forgot to turn off my cell phone.
We never find out who called Bess. The Jolly Rogers hear a phone ring and they immediately assume someone is spying on them. Either they're super paranoid or none of them have cell phones.
Why, it seems our trespasser is of the female variety.
How does Dr. Buford know Bess is female? The guard looked at her closely and he couldn't figure out her gender. And don't say they know she's female because of her voice, because there is no way someone could hear her over Creepy McCreepface's laughing.
Go.
you're making a big mistake. Let go of me. Look, I'm not here to make trouble. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Can't we just talk about this? Where are you taking me? If you just let me explain.
Creepy McCreepface. The Jolly Rogers take off Bess's head mask, but according to the clothing icon, she's still wearing it.
The young lady's clearly upset about something.
Like being tied up by strange men in costumes?
So this afternoon, he dressed up in his skeleton man costume again and snuck into Henry's house so he could get the key from that mini cemetery.
Why did Dr. Buford feel the need to dress up in the skeleton man costume in order to look at the model cemetery? He could have easily come in as his normal self without anyone being suspicious of him.
I told him you were on the verge of finding it.
Why would you tell him that?
To create fake dramatic suspense. Why else? This puzzle. How does the locking mechanism here know what direction the eyes are facing? In real life, Nancy wouldn't move an eyeball up, down, and right before moving it to the left. She would just move it to the left to begin with. The grave is pressed down before Nancy puts the pike in. How did Dr. Bollet build this complicated machine? The lift doesn't work unless it's struck by lightning. That is ridiculously impractical. Since the lift doesn't work unless it's struck by lightning, how did Henry get inside to scatter Dr. Bollet's ashes? Nancy gives the crystal skull to the culprit without a second thought. Nancy is an idiot. Conveniently, this crypt has an escape puzzle, just in case somebody accidentally gets locked inside. This puzzle. Conveniently timed lightning bolts. Renee leaves muddy footprints here, but nowhere else.
I am going to protect it.
Just not from alligators. The first time Nancy steps on the log, Bernie attacks her. This time when Nancy steps on the log, Bernie ignores her completely and attacks a different target. How did Nancy get these pictures of Bernie if no one ever saw him again? How did Nancy get this picture? Did she force Renee to reenact her betrayal?